Greetings in the wonderful name of Jesus Christ. What a privilege to open the Word of God one more time, share with you in our study. We're continuing our journey in this amazing book called Revelation. Today we look at chapter 5. We begin chapter 5, one of the fascinating and interesting chapters. Of course, they're all interesting, but this one is uniquely different. John writes, verse 1, I saw in the right hand of him that sat on the throne a book written within and on the backside, sealed with 7 seals. My. What a marvelous sight is being unveiled here for us in this interesting chapter. I saw in the right hand of him that sat on the throne. The Lord sits high and lifted up, and all the glorious colors of the rainbow about him. The majesty of this sight must have been, awesome to say the least. Now, in chapter 4 that we just finished the last time, John saw the Lord sitting on his throne, before whom the 24 elders fell in worship. And there was no mention of, at that time, of anything in his hand. In fact, this presentation is completely different, because it deals with something completely different from what we have studied thus far. Chapter 4 shared with us John's experience of being caught up spiritually, caught up in the spirit to heaven, and witnessing the array of worshipers, the 24 elders, the beautiful rainbow. This was the conclusion, in a sense, maybe that's the way to say it, of the letters that he had written. And this was the summation of it, that now he's made it as a representative of the church before the Lord. John, he becomes here in this chapter involved in one of the most fascinating mysteries of the Revelation. What he's witnessing in this chapter has far-reaching consequences. Now, let's go back. We know that the earth and the entire cosmos, of course, was spoken to existence by God, the great creator. It's evident from such passages as, for instance, Psalm 24 and verse 1 and 2. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof, the world, and they that dwell therein. For he hath founded it upon the seas, and established it upon the floods. Another passage is written to the people of Israel in Leviticus 25, verse 23 through 25. This one as well is interesting because it has to do with the promised land. The land shall not be sold forever, for the land is mine. For ye are strangers and sojourners with me. And in all the land of your possession ye shall grant a redemption for the land. If thy brother waxen poor, and hath sold away some of his possession, and if any of his kin come to redeem it, then shall he redeem that which his brother sold. That's an awesome statement, an interesting passage, because I think chapter 5 of Revelation has something to do with that. When we find in the beginning of Genesis, in the creation of man, what we find there is in Genesis chapter 1, verse 26. Listen to what Jehovah, what Yahweh, or no, there he's called Elohim, what Elohim had to say. And God said, Elohim said, Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, over the cattle, over all the earth, over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. Again, Genesis 1:26. But we also know, because we read the rest of the book and the rest of that chapter and the following chapters, we know that the enemy entered the picture. And through his subtlety, he deceived the first parents. And he brought about not only their fall from sinlessness and perfection, but he also caused them to forfeit their dominion of the earth. It was given to Adam to care for, to take care of it, as it's plainly laid out here, that in all the land of your possession. But we know that when this enemy entered the picture and they yielded and ate that forbidden fruit, well, it's evident that this world is presently under the influence of Satan. His powerful force is seen everywhere. In fact, Paul calls him in 2 Corinthians 4:4, the God of this world. As a lost estate, let me call it, of an Israel could be redeemed by a near kinsman, then the earth as well had to be redeemed by a near kinsman. But no son of Adam could ever hope to qualify to be able to pay the price required to redeem this world. Satan lost it when he gave up his position in glory. He said, I'm going to exalt my throne above the stars of God. But it didn't last, as of course. So he invaded this world and convinced, deceived that couple in that garden to disobey the command of God, which resulted in sin entering the picture, and they lost that possession. And what Adam lost, well, the last Adam regained. Now, no son of Adam could ever hope to qualify, of course, to be able to pay the price required to redeem this world. The only one that was able to do that was the Creator himself. And yet, in order to redeem man and his world, some changes had to take place. He had to first take on manhood, because God is spirit. God has no blood, had no blood. And so in order to redeem, he had to have some blood. He had to be able to pay the price. It would take more than money to pay the demanded price, shall I say. The Apostle Peter put it this way, 1 Peter 1, verses 18, 19, and 20. For as much as you know that you were not redeemed with corruptible things, as silver and gold, from your vain conversation received by tradition from your fathers, but with the precious blood of Christ, as of a lamb without blemish and without spot, who verily was foreordained before the foundation of the world, but was manifest in these last times for you. So this is what Bethlehem was all about. This is what Calvary was all about. This is why Jesus, God, came in the person of Jesus Christ into this world, to redeem, to reclaim that which was lost, fallen man, the world. Now, we have an interesting story. I'm not going to go into detail, but back in the time of Jeremiah, when Jeremiah was preaching about and prophesying about Babylon taking over, and he was pleading with the people to surrender, because it's evident there's no changing. give over and surrender. And they, of course, put Jeremiah in a prison, put him in a pit one time that was just miry mud. But anyway, there was a time there as a point of interest and evidence that Jeremiah, while he was in the court of the prison, talked to his friend Baruch. And in verse 8 of that passage of Scripture, Jeremiah told his companion, "Buy my field, I pray thee, that is in Anathoth, which is in the country of Benjamin, for the right of inheritance is mine, and the redemption is thine. Buy it for thyself." Then I knew that this was the word of the Lord. The reason I point this out is because of Jeremiah. I know he was preaching that judgment is coming. People are going to be scattered. People are going to be taken into Babylonian captivity. But yet at the same time, he purchases land because he knows prophetically, he is the one that talked about the 70 weeks, 70 years that would be in Babylonian captivity. So he knows prophetically the day is coming when redemption is going to take place for this land, this world. The evidence was sealed and placed in a safe place. Well, one copy was not sealed normally, but it would be on public display. And so what I'm trying to say is that the redemption of humanity, the redemption of this world that is presently in the control, as it were, of Satan himself, is being published all through this wonderful book, that is going to change. That is going to change. Not only will Satan never attain his throne, he's going to lose control of this world as well. So in Jeremiah's case, it would seem there would be no safe place with the invading forces of Babylon coming to burn and destroy the city. So the prophet, he had it sealed and buried in a good place. And that's what's taken place here in chapter 5. It's sealed, waiting for the rightful one to come to be able to be authorized to open those seals, to break them. In verse 2, here it says, "And I saw an angel proclaiming with a loud voice, who is worthy to open the book and to loose the seals thereof?" This is important. It has eternal importance attached to it. The concern of finding the one whose right it was to open this book reaches into the heavens among the angelic host. For redemption involves heaven as well as the earth. And redemption will involve the whole creation, heaven and earth. And the earth, which has been under the curse of the enemy for 6,000 years now. Of course, you could go back farther than that too, but anyway, there's a cry made for someone who's able, who qualifies to open this interesting book. It's got 7 seals on it. Verse 3 says, "No man in heaven, nor in earth, neither under the earth, was able to open the book, neither to look thereon." So, evidently from what we can read here, search was made, and no one was found, not in heaven or on the earth. Men were sought out from what is being told here, but there was no one that would be found that is worthy to take this book and open these seals. Paul tells us in Romans 3, verse 10 and 23, "All as it is written, there is none righteous, no, not one. For all have sinned and come short of the glory of God." So no son of Adam could ever step forward and say, "I'm worthy to take that book and to break those seals." And so what happens to John? Well, he tells us in verse 4, and I wept much because no man was found worthy to open and to read the book, neither to look thereon. Now, John, he's been to heaven spiritually by the Spirit, like Paul was by the Spirit. And now he realizes, and the full weight of what's being involved here hits him, I guess they'd like a ton of bricks. And because of what is at stake, there is great concern, there's alarm. Now, let me throw this in. If this is after the rapture, if this is a scene before the throne with the redeemed, the raptured saints looking on, then there's no way the enemy of all righteousness can be driven from this earth. There's no way that the judgments of God's wrath can come upon the beast and his evil kingdom until and unless this book is opened. And the opening of these seals will produce the judgments that what Revelation is pretty much about. The judgments of God upon the wickedness of Satan, his man of sin, the beast, along with his cohort, the false prophet. So will redemption fail this close to reality? This close to the finish line? So this caused John to begin to cry. Verse 5 says, one of the elders saith unto me, weep not. Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, hath prevailed to open the book and to loose the 7 seals thereof. My. There's a couple of things here that stands out. First of all, Lion of the tribe of Judah, and also the Root of David. And also it says, John says, one of the elders. Now, that brings some interest to my mind. Of course, I'm from Missouri, and I need to be shown some things to understand some things, and this is one of them. One of the elders. Is this one of the redeemed saints? Is this one of those who stand among that myriad of witnesses before the throne? Why wasn't it one of the angels? Angels are not called elders. In all other places, we find it's an angel which is showing, I say in all the other places, in many other places, it's an angel that's showing John the things that are happening or will happen during the 70th week of Daniel. Now, possibly it's one of the redeemed, because one of the redeemed could relate to John and to his feelings, I think, pretty good. After all, one of the redeemed would better understand the significance of redemption. The angels they've not been redeemed, so they can't identify with it. Calvary was not for their redemption, it was for ours. And it may have even been one of those who were brought forth from Hades at the Lord's resurrection. Who knows? Notice what it says here. Notice that this elder identifies the Lord 3 ways. The Lion, the King of the beasts, tribe of Judah. So the prophecy of the patriarch long ago, back in Genesis 49, as Jacob pronounced prophecy upon his sons, notice what he says in verses 9 and 10. Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, thou art gone up. He stooped down. He couched as a lion, and as an old lion. Who shall raise him up? The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come. And unto him shall the gathering of the people be. My. We know who Shiloh is. Jesus Christ. And we know who's going to bring people together. Jesus Christ. So 3 things: the Lion, the tribe of Judah, and the root of David are emphasized here as the one that's qualified, capable of taking that book. So the promised seed of David had arrived. The one that was called the Son of David was here. The identity, it's certain. He's the one the world had been waiting for thousands of years to come. Finally, the great day had appeared. From that Old Testament writer, the oldest book in our Bible, Job, he said, I know my Redeemer lives, and he's going to stand on this earth in the latter days. The root of David. And the elder said, hath prevailed. How did he prevail? How did he prevail? He prevailed in the wilderness against the tempter's snares and temptations. He prevailed through 3 years of ministry, confronting every temptation known to the flesh. He prevailed against the demons, which had so many to whom he ministered bound. He prevailed on Calvary in shedding his own blood, which was the price of redemption for all mankind. He prevailed in Hades when he conquered the one who had the power or authority over death. He prevailed when he claimed the keys, the authority of death and hell into his own possession. He prevailed. He hath prevailed. And this word prevailed is the same Greek word which we find spoken to all of the 7 churches of Asia, every one of them. But there, it's not the word prevail, it's the word overcometh. He that overcometh, he that overcometh. 7 times that is said, one to each of the 7 churches. So he who encouraged his church to overcome, overcame. His name is Jesus. Verse 6 says, and I beheld, and lo, in the midst of the throne of the 4 beasts, in the midst of the elders, stood a lamb, as it had been slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God sent forth into all the earth. My. Now, John, having heard the comforting words of the elder, well, he's feeling great relief. He's been crying. And now he hears the word about this lion, this tribe of Judah, this root of David. And so he turns to witness this lion. He wants to see this lion who's come forward to take the book, to open the seals. But instead of seeing a roaring lion, he sees a lamb. Now, at first, one maybe would think that a lion was needed because of the task. After all, he's the king of the beasts, king of the jungle, if you will. So we would think, where's the lion? Well, there's no lion here. It's a lamb. And at least that's the way we would think about it. We need a lion to usurp or take away the authority that has been usurped by the enemy, Satan. But before redemption can come, there's got to be a lamb slain. There's got to be the shedding of blood. There's got to be a price paid. And it had to be a redeemer, kinsman. The shedding of blood had to take place, and it could not be the blood of some lion, of course. That was bring forth the redemption that was needed. And before he could fill the position of conqueror over Satan and his forces, he had to be a lamb. He first had to go to Calvary. He first had to shed his blood. And it was the lamb the Lamb that was slain on the cross. It was in that position and condition he was worthy of receiving and taking, not just, I say receiving, but maybe I could add to it or emphasize that taking. He had the authority to take that book. Now, we've studied previously about the seven spirits which proceeded from the throne of God. And we notice here that this Lamb, Jesus, possesses these seven spirits. They are seen in him as seven horns, seven eyes, the spirit that emanates from the throne and enters the life of every believer is the Spirit of Jesus Christ. And so it says in verse 7, John writes, he came and took the book out of the hand of him that sat upon the throne. He took the book. He has the authority. The moment had arrived. There must have been, I say, I'm thinking now, must have been a holy quietness for this dramatic moment to take place. The Lamb took the title book. It was his right to do so. He had come to claim that which had been kept, let us say, in a secure place for millenniums, just like Jeremiah's deed of his property was kept in a safe place. And the time had finally arrived to lay claim on that possession. And we find in the book of Daniel, chapter 7, 13 and 14, an interesting passage that's so applicable. Daniel saw the vision, same as John. Let me read it. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one, like the Son of Man, came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days. And they brought him near before him, and there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. That's an awesome passage. And it's speaking about what John is witnessing here. He has arrived. He has arrived. Daniel saw this in a vision. He only saw certain aspects of it. He didn't see the complete picture. But John, John, as he was there when it all took place, he saw it. He saw it taking place. He writes about it now. He's got several more chapters to write before he is finished. And what a detailed expressions are given, pointed out, portrayed, put together. The dominion which Daniel speaks about, which was given to this one, whom he called the Son of Man, is the dominion over this earth and creation. A dominion which will not be surrendered. Never. He has refused to surrender. In fact, again, going back to the beginning, Satan said, this is mine. I'm going to exalt my throne above the stars of God. I'm going to be like the Most High. I am. Well, he didn't surrender it voluntarily. He tried his best to keep Jesus from Calvary. He came against him, even during his birth or before his birth. Tried, it seems, to convince Joseph to put Mary away quietly. We don't want this one to be born. And every time opportunity presents itself, or he took advantage, he tried, the Satan did, to keep Jesus from Calvary, because he knew what would happen if he ever made it to that cross. if he ever shed his blood, he knew what would happen. He would lose his authority. The God of this world would be taken away and destroyed, as to the extent that he would lose possession of this world. Thank God for Calvary, and thank God for the one that took that book. And he's going to open those seals, and that's what the rest of the story is about. God bless you. I'm going to quieten down here for this time. We'll pick it up when we visit with you again, the Lord willing. God bless.